The whole goal of the Climate Community Protection Act, or CCPA, that New York Renews is trying to pass, is that we want this governor to codify all the commitments that have been made to make New York State 100% clean energy state by 2050 into law. That means as administrations come and go, they can't roll back if it's codified into law. Another thing that this bill would do is it already recognizes that frontline communities, or EJ communities, are already disproportionately impacted by climate disruptions that are already occurring. This is not into the future, it is now. Those communities are generally very poor people and people of color communities. And what we're saying is that there would be a 40% set aside of any clean energy funds that would come that would directly go to these communities for climate adaptation, mitigation, and resiliency. Ways that you can enforce climate emissions are several things. You have to retire any fossil fuel industry, or burning coal plants, coal-fired plants, but then we're also making sure that we are going to be 100% clean energy or renewable state. That means investing in solar, investing in wind, investing in things like geothermal and biomass fuels. The ways that this bill would promote renewable energy is, A, we're moving away from an extractive economy, which is the fossil fuel industry. So if we're retiring all coal-fired plants, that means you have to transition into a clean energy or clean burning industry. And how that's done is through weatherizing homes, putting insulation in, using green efficient appliances and so forth, would reduce those emissions. Secondarily, especially for frontline communities, those poor communities that I spoke of, it would mean that it would severely reduce their energy costs, so reducing energy poverty. And then from there, other sectors will open up, which means that there would be incredible job growth in renewables that currently actually do not exist in the extractive fossil fuel industry. Push Buffalo really believes in new economy principles, and those new economy principles, what we do is we take all those theories and say, okay, let's put them into practice so that it's tangible results, and you also can track who's benefiting from them. So in the bill itself, in CCPA, we are working with labor to make sure that these new jobs that are coming online will not be minimum wage jobs, will not be $10 an hour jobs. Additionally, I think you asked about in what sectors will they be coming online. So solar obviously is really big. That's the one that we figured out the most and is ready to go. Other ones are wind power. The other will be geothermal. But then there are people like salespeople, auditors, engineers, tech people. So there's a whole host of different new jobs that are not currently even available in the fossil fuel industry, right? So it's going to be thousands more jobs for New York State, which is really exciting. In order for us to meet the goals of 100% clean renewable energy by 2050, we have to actually be quite aggressive, which means we need to pass the CCPA as soon as possible in the next 5 years. And the science actually says that 2050 is too late with how rapidly climate changes and the glaciers are melting, and so sea levels are rising, all of those impacts and the disruptions that are already happening. 2032 is more of the realistic number to not go above that 3%. Or 3 degrees. And we're already seeing some of that. What we're seeing is like summers that are too hot, winters that are not cold enough here. And what that does is it's going to increase the rate of disease. It's going to mess with migration patterns. It's going to mess with crops. So we're going to probably see a lot of crops that are going to fail this year. So there could be serious food shortages. We saw things like Superstorm Sandy, which we think there'll be many more of them. So if those communities in New York City do not address the climate issue and begin to put interventions in right now, there could be a lack of food access. Many people are going to die. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Get involved. Climate change and climate issues are actually going to impact younger generations much worse than they are the outgoing generations now. And so find out more about New York Renews, become involved, call your elected officials, volunteer, do whatever you have to do on campus to bring recognition and awareness of the climate issue. And more importantly, I always sort of close with organizing principles, because that's what we do here. What's your self-interest? It's actually in your self-interest, young people, to address the climate change issue and hold people of my generation and generations that are above me accountable to making it happen.